three best friends, inseparable since childhood. The kind of friendship that shows up in every photo, every yearbook, every late-night car ride. In July 2012, one of them snuck out of her bedroom window to meet the other two. She never came back. For months, her two best friends searched for her publicly, posted about missing her, comforted her parents, begged for her safe return. They knew exactly where she was the entire time. Skylar Neese was 16 years old, an honor roll student in Star City, West Virginia, the only child of Dave and Mary Neese. She worked part-time at a Wendy's, kept good grades, and planned on becoming a criminal defense attorney. Her social circle was small but tight, built around two girls. Sheila Eddy had been Skylar's friend since they were 8 years old, meeting at a local kids program. Rachel Schoaf joined the group in high school. By sophomore year, the three were nearly inseparable, driving around at night, hanging out after school, constantly together. But in the weeks before Skylar disappeared, cracks started showing. Her social media posts hinted at tension, vague, frustrated messages about trust and being fed up with friends. Nobody outside the group knew what was really going on, not even her parents. On the night of July 5, 2012, Skylar came home from her shift at Wendy's. Sometime after midnight, surveillance footage from her apartment complex showed her climbing out of her bedroom window and getting into a waiting car. She left behind her phone charger and contact lens solution, small details her father would later point to as proof she planned on coming back. She didn't. When Skylar didn't return, her parents called the police. But because she was a teenager who had voluntarily climbed out a window, investigators initially treated it as a runaway case, not an abduction. An Amber Alert wasn't issued. Her parents printed flyers and went door to door themselves, with help from, of all people, Sheila Eddy. For months, both Eddy and Schoaf maintained the act. They posted online about missing their friend. They sat with Skylar's grieving parents. Eddy even tweeted things like wishing Skylar would come home. The entire time, both girls knew Skylar was dead. They'd killed her themselves hours after she got in that car. Cracks in their story started appearing almost immediately. The two girls gave investigators accounts of the night that didn't quite line up. Different directions, different timelines. Gas station surveillance eventually placed Eddy's car on the road that night, despite her earlier denials. Investigators tested Eddy's car and recovered Skylar's blood from inside it. Even then, both girls held their story. Then, in January 2013, 6 months after Skylar vanished, Rachel Schoaf broke down and confessed to her attorney and police. She told them she and Eddy had killed Skylar, and she led investigators to a wooded area across the state line in Brave, Pennsylvania, where they found her remains. When investigators asked why, Schoaf's answer was almost impossibly hollow. According to State Police CPL Ronnie Gaskins, her response was simply, "We just didn't like her." According to court records, the murder was planned, not impulsive. The girls had packed bleach, cleaning rags, a shovel, and a change of clothes in the trunk of the car beforehand. They picked Skylar up that night under the pretense of going to smoke marijuana at a spot the three of them knew well, just over the Pennsylvania border. Once there, the plan was simple and rehearsed. Count to 3, then attack. When the signal came, both girls turned on her at once. Skylar tried to run. She managed to grab a knife away from one of them and fought back before she was overpowered. Afterward, the two changed clothes, cleaned the car, and drove home as if nothing had happened. and kept up that performance, in public and online, for 6 more months. It later emerged in court that the two girls had been secretly involved in a romantic relationship and feared Skylar might reveal it. Rachel Schoaf testified years later that the fear of exposure, combined with what she described as an unhealthy and volatile dynamic between her and Eddie, was at the root of what happened that night. Rachel Schoaf pleaded guilty to second-degree murder in 2013 and was sentenced to 30 years, with eligibility for parole after 10. Sheila Eddy pleaded guilty to first-degree murder in 2014 and received life in prison with the possibility of parole after 15 years. Both were tried as adults. Skylar's parents, Dave and Mary Neese, channeled their grief into action, successfully pushing for Skylar's Law in West Virginia, which expanded Amber Alert protections to cover missing children regardless of whether abduction is suspected, closing the exact gap that delayed the search for their daughter. The wooded site where Skylar's body was found has since been turned into a memorial. What makes this case so unsettling isn't a stranger in the dark. It's the idea that the people closest to you, the ones who know your secrets, who sit next to you in class, who post about missing you, can be capable of something like this and hide it in plain sight for months. If you're new here, subscribe. I cover the cases that reveal something uncomfortable about how well we can really know the people closest to us. Let me know what case you want covered next.